Hey guys, it's Andrea, and today I am doing my June 2014 wrap-up video. This month is actually a pretty good month. I read a total of 16 books, and I'm really happy with that. I'm so happy with the amount that I read in June. The first book that I read was Pushing the Limits by Katie McGarry, and I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Basically, this is a story told in 2 points of view. We have Echo and we have Noah. Echo used to be this popular girl, and all of a sudden she's not anymore, and she's kind of more within herself. And you know something happened, but you don't know exactly what happened. You just know she has weird scars on her wrist now. And then you have Noah, who has more of like family problems and whatnot, and them kind of being thrown together and what comes of that. I liked it because there's actually a lot more deep stuff happening in this than I actually initially thought. I thought it was going to be more of like a light kind of romance, and it is a romance, but there's a lot of deep stuff going on too, and I thought that was really cool. The next one is The Hedge Knight graphic novel. This is a graphic novel based on George R.R. Martin's prequel novel to the Game of Thrones, in that series. And this graphic novel is by Ben Avery and Mike S. Miller. And basically, yeah, it's set 100 years before Game of Thrones happens. And so it's completely different characters and whatnot. And I haven't read that series or anything yet, but this was given to me, and so I did it, and I enjoyed it, and I gave this 4 stars. The next book I read was Don't Look Back by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I don't have it with me because someone is borrowing it, but this book was so good. This was my first book by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and it was amazing. Now I need to actually go read that popular series of, what is it called? The Luck series. I should go read that. I'm really interested to read that, but I read this and I loved this. I thought it was just so well done, and there's good suspense in like trying to figure it out, and it was just so good. Basically, it's this teenage girl. She kind of gets picked up by the police. She doesn't have any memory of anything. She doesn't know her name, who she is, anything. So she gets thrown back into her world, and turns out she's been missing, and they don't know what happened to her. But when she went missing, she also went missing with her best friend, who has not showed up. So they think that she would know where she is, but she doesn't remember anything. So she doesn't know. And she's also being thrown back into her life, and she doesn't remember anything. And it turns out that she was like that popular girl, like the mean popular girl. And she kind of realizes that she doesn't like that person that she used to be. And so it's kind of her changing her life. And I guess kind of resorting back to who she naturally is rather than who she built herself to be. And it's just really good. You're trying to figure out what happened, and then she's also getting these mysterious notes, and you're wondering who's leaving them, and so just kind of that, and wondering like everything, just wondering and trying to figure it out. And it was just really, really good, and I gave it 5 stars, and it was so good. The next book I read was Under the Never Sky by Veronica Roth, and I gave this 4 stars. I thought it was really enjoyable. There were things that I had problems with, or I didn't necessarily follow completely, or whatnot, but as a whole, I really, really, really enjoyed this, and it was really interesting. I think what drew me back a little bit is when I first started reading this, I was really confused. I didn't really understand the world. I didn't understand exactly what was happening. It definitely made more sense as we went along, and then I got it, but at first I was just really confused, so I think that kind of took away from it a little bit. This is about our girl Aria, and they live in these pod type structures, but then she ends up outside of it, and her kind of trying to survive it, and meeting this boy Perry, and he's an outsider, and them kind of using each other because they both kind of need the other person. Yup. The next book I read was The Way of Shadows by Brent Weeks. This is an assassin book, and I ended up really enjoying this. I will say that when I first started this, I thought it was kind of slow, and I was kind of bored, and I didn't really want to continue, and to be honest, I read this with my friend Kate, and I'm so glad we read this together because we were both having trouble in the beginning getting through it, and we just motivated each other, and because I would have been so tempted to put it down in the beginning because it just was really taking a little while for me to get into it. But then I did start liking a few of the characters, and they're what made me want to read it. But as soon as I got kind of more sucked into it, it was very interesting. I think the downside to this, I don't necessarily like the way this author tells the story. I feel like he tries to throw too much stuff into it. Like, there's so much going on, and some of it seems kind of unnecessary. Maybe it will play into the bigger plot of the other books, but it was just kind of crazy, and there's just so much going on. But as a whole, I really ended up enjoying this, and I ended up giving this 3.5 stars. This month, I also read The Inventor's Secret by Andrea Kramer. I actually did a read along with a bunch of friends of mine, and then we had a live show on my channel. This is a steampunk novel, and it is a historical fiction in that it's an alternate history. Basically, the American Revolutionary War never happened, and so America never became its own country, and so then it's just this huge British Empire over here, but there's a lot of new gadgets and stuff that we don't have. But yeah, it's really interesting. I liked it. It was I definitely enjoyed it. There were things that I didn't necessarily think were necessary. Like, there is mythology in this, and I just thought, I don't know, I just didn't really get it, to be honest. But I thought it was good. I definitely was interested. Like, I wanted to keep reading, and I definitely will be reading the others. But there were things that did bother me. There is sort of a love triangle going on, and I know that within the friends that we read it together, people are on different sides. But for me, I'm kind of just not really on a side. I don't really have an opinion on either of them at this point. So I'm just kind of like, whoever she ends up with is cool with me. Which is, I usually have an opinion, but to be honest, I really don't have an opinion on who she ends up with. Yeah, but it's really good, and the positive definitely outweighed the negative, and I ended up giving this about 3.75 stars. The next book I read was Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson, and I don't have it with me because someone's borrowing it. I'm letting people borrow a lot of books right now, which kind of makes me nervous, but books are meant to be read, and these are all like people that I actually trust, so hopefully it works out okay. This book was just cute. It was cute. I gave it 4 stars. It was adorable. For me, I kind of wanted a little bit more at the end. I thought it just kind of ended and then it was just done. Like, I wanted a little bit more, to be honest. It's just a cute story. It's nothing too, like, crazy or anything. It's cute. It's just so adorable, and ever since then, I just want to go, like, on a road trip across the entire U.S. Like, someone come do it with me, because I want to do that, and just have no plans and just go. That would be so fun. Wouldn't that be fun? I just think that'd be so cool. Anyways, the reason I'm talking about road trips is because if you do not know what this is about 2 people. You have a boy and a girl. Girl needs to get to a different place to move in with her mother, and boy has been drafted to drive her there because she doesn't drive anymore for certain reasons that you will find out. And so boy and girl drive together, and they decide not to take this planned route, but to go on this epic detour, and so that they can explore fun things, and it's just cute and fun. It was such a good summer read, and I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Across the Universe by Beth Revis, and oh my gosh, I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. It's so, not only is this cover absolutely gorgeous, but the story is absolutely gorgeous, and it's so good. Basically, it starts off with our main character, Amy. She gets cryogenically frozen with her family, and they're going to be sent off in space so that they can go and start this new planet. Amy's along because both her parents are kind of deemed necessary in order to start up this planet for human growth and development and a way to live there. And so she's kind of a non-essential carry-along. and so she gets cryogenically frozen. But then something happens and she wakes up early. And once she's woken up, you can't go back into your cryogenic sleep. So a couple hundred years or so, she's woken up early. So basically she's gonna live, or is it hundreds, or is maybe 50? I don't remember. But she's woken up early, so basically she's gonna have to live life with these people on the ship that are totally different than people who grew up on Earth. Completely different. The way of life is so very different, and it's weird, and they all look the same, and they all have this mixed skin color, but she's very, very pale and fair, and she has red hair, so she just stands out, and everyone thinks she's weird, and blah, blah, blah. So she has to live with that. And then we have our other main character, Elder, and he is being groomed to become the eldest, which is the leader of the ship. And so he's being groomed into that. And so he's also sucked into this because people are randomly being woken up from their sleep, and some of them are dying, and they're trying to figure out who's doing it and why and whatnot. And it was just really, really good. And I just really enjoyed this, and I'm really excited to read the next one. I'm so excited because this was so good, and I thought that the life on the ship was super interesting and how it was done, and just all of it. It was if you can't tell, I loved this book because it's just so good. Go and read it right now. The next book I read was Open Road Summer by Emery Lord. Shoot. Oops. This is just a summer read. I got it simply because I wanted a cute summer read and something that was kind of newer, and it just involves music, and I love stuff involving music because I just absolutely adore music. Music is life to me, and so I like stuff that incorporates music. And then it's also kind of this road trip. Also, her best friend is famous. It's just all very interesting elements that made me want to read this. And I ended up giving this 3 stars. I thought it was good just for a summer read. Like, it wasn't anything like, and it wasn't like, oh, I hated it. It was just kind of like, I enjoyed it. There were just some parts that really bothered me. Like, the main character does so much slut shaming. And I don't know if you're used to that term of phrase, but basically when she kind of just puts down girls all the time for like what they wear, how they act, or whatnot. And I didn't understand because she was kind of portrayed as dressing kind of provocatively with like low tops and tight clothes and short skirts and heels and all that stuff. So she wore all that stuff, but like whenever she would see girls in similar stuff, she would always be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're wearing that. I can't believe they're acting like that. Like, I didn't understand. She just thought she was so much better than everyone else, I felt like. I liked her. I guess I liked her, but I did not like the way she did that to everyone she saw. It was really frustrating and annoying. But I loved the best friend, and I really loved the love interest, and I thought it was done right. And it was an enjoyable story. Like, it was cute. Honestly, I really liked it. And then it hit a certain point in which I liked it less, and I just kind of got annoyed with the main character. Like, I got really annoyed with her. So I think that took down my rating a little bit, because had it been like maybe before that happened, I probably would have said 3.5, maybe 4. But that happened, and it just brought it down because I became so annoyed with her, and it was close to the ending. So I just kind of ended off on a little bit more of a bitter note than had it been earlier. But I did enjoy it, and so if you're looking for like a really easy kind of summary read, I would say this fits the bill. The next book I read was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and this was so very good. I was blown away by this novel. In general, I do like mystery thrillers, so I think that's why this worked well for me. If you are a huge thriller or mystery fan, I wouldn't really recommend it because you might find it kind of slow because it's just so mystery based, where they're just trying to figure things out. Basically, the story has kind of two points of view-ish. You are kind of living in the life with Nick, and scattered between are the journal entries of his wife, Amy. Basically, the story has to do with, it is their anniversary of their marriage, and Nick comes back to find that his wife isn't there. His house is kind of disarray, and so she's missing, so they're trying to find her, and everything's kind of pointing to him. And you, as the reader, don't know whether or not, even though you're in his head, you don't know whether or not he did it or not, because he's just a very unreliable narrator, which I thought was really interesting and really, really amazing, because it's just kind of interesting having a narrator that's not reliable at all. Like, you think you can trust him, but then sometimes you really feel like you can't, especially because what he says and what his wife Amy's journal entries say kind of contradict each other at points. So you don't really know who to believe or what to think or whatnot. It was just so interesting, and there's a point in this book, there's a bit of a twist, and I was just blown away by what the author did, and she did it so well, and I really liked this, and I gave it 4 stars. Next, I read The Archived by Victoria Schwab, and this was enjoyable. I gave it 3.5 stars. I thought it was really, really interesting. I thought the whole idea of it was interesting. Basically, we have our main character, and she archives dead people called histories, and basically people are kind of shells of themselves. It's sort of like maybe like a data entry of about their life, who they were, but it's still in their form, and they're called histories. But sometimes they wake up, and when they wake up, they're really confused and kind of out of it. So a lot of times they get violent or whatnot, so they have to go, she has to go and get them and help bring them back. And that's her job. And it was very, very interesting, and I really liked it. I wished it would have been long. It's just so, I feel like it's so small. I feel like it could have been longer. But I really liked the love interest in this. He was super cute, and I liked his style sense, and he sounds like a looker. Next, I read Mind Games by Kiersten White, and I gave this 3 stars. I will say that the second half is like so much better than the first half. Based on the first half, I thought it was gonna be like a really bad review for me. Like, based on like the right at the beginning. Because basically our main character is like an assassin type figure. And just right in the beginning, she doesn't kill someone simply because this person was nice to a puppy. And I get she doesn't want to be a killer, but she's already done a lot of stuff, and I don't see why she would suddenly make an exception for a random kid who is nice to puppy. That was the first thing I was like, what? Are you kidding? But it was good. My complaint is that it's so short. It's so very short, and it's 2 points of views, but not only that, it's also flashbacks. So really, like, nothing happens in this book because it's just so much flashbacks, which was interesting. But the second half is just better because stuff is actually kind of happening the last quarter of the book, whereas the first 3/4 nothing's really happening. So it got a lot better. It was enjoyable. I'll probably read the next one, but I'm not in a huge rush to go out and get it right now and find out what happens. If it kind of continues on with how it ended, I think I'll like it a lot more because I liked how this ended and what happened towards the end. But I'm weary of what it actually kind of will be. But it was okay. It was enjoyable. I didn't hate it. I just didn't love it either. The next book I read was This Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sale. And man, I really liked this book, and I'm glad I really liked it because I've been wanting to read this for like a long time. So it's been very highly anticipated by me, and it didn't disappoint. I really liked it. I loved the DJ aspect of it. I thought that was so cool. It makes me want to go watch a DJ. I don't think I personally could DJ, but maybe study someone else DJ. I like those headphones. Every time I see this cover, I'm like, oh, those are nice headphones. It's about this girl, and she really kind of stands out in school. She gets kind of picked on. She's an outsider. She doesn't have any friends. And so her school life kind of sucks. And then she kind of stumbles across by accident one night this kind of underground dance place. And it's there that she makes some friends, and she gets to know the DJ, and she ends up starting to DJ herself. And kind of her discovering herself. Next, I read Rules of Attraction by Simone Elkeles. I was actually quite disappointed with this. Not that it's bad, because it was enjoyable. I gave it 3 stars, but I enjoyed the first one a lot more. So I guess I was just expecting to have more of those feels for this, but I didn't. It was just okay. It was kind of disappointing, and I'm hoping the 3rd one's better, but I think my main complaint about this is that like gangs and drugs are brought back in, and I feel like she was just using the same problem as the first one and just throwing it into his life as well. Like the first one, I fit to me. It made a lot of sense, but this one I felt like was just thrown in there to add conflict. I don't know, at least that's how I felt, and I wasn't as big of a fan of the characters. I liked them, but not as much as I liked the others. And when they showed, like, drama between the 2 main characters of the first book, I thought it was so unnecessary. They had their own book. They worked out their stuff in that. Like, just let them be happy in these next ones. Like, they're not even main characters anymore. Leave them be. It was good. And the next book I read was Venom by Fiona Paul. I am glad I read this because I've definitely been wanting to read it and hearing amazing things, and so I'm glad I read it. But I didn't love this the way everyone else loved this. I liked it, but I didn't love it, and I honestly don't know if I will continue with the other ones, and if I do, it'll probably be down the road. I won't think it will be anytime soon. It's long, and I found it unnecessarily long. When things are long and I'm really enjoying it, it's okay, but I felt this was long for no reason sometimes because some parts just got really boring and dragged along. And the main character annoyed me a little bit. She wasn't too bad, but there were times. I liked the artist. I don't know. It was alright to me. I didn't find it amazing, and it was just okay. I can't really say anything, but basically this is a historical fiction, and we have our main character, and she basically gets thrown into this world in which they discover people are dying, and she's this high-class citizen, and she kind of pairs up with this lowly artist, and in order to discover why these people are being murdered, what's happening, who's done it, And the last book of this month I read was Going Too Far by Jennifer Eccles. This is my first book by this author, though I have seen a lot of hers, and they always kind of intrigued me, so I wanted to give it a try. And this one, for some reason, always made me kind of want to read it. So I just eventually bought it, and I read it in, like, really quick because it's small. Like, it's like not the normal size of a normal book. Plus, it's, like, super thin. So this is really small and really quick and really easy. I ended up giving it 3 stars. It was just enjoyable to read. If you read this, I think you would enjoy reading it. But if you don't read it, you're not really missing out. That's how I would describe this book. That is the end of my June reads. This is going to be a super big pain to edit because it says it's 37 minutes right now, which is crazy, but there's so many books and I end up talking way too long. So I'm going to go now. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!